Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new series where I take drugs. Wait, no, I didn't. This video is for information, harm reduction, and education purposes only. The opinions expressed herein are mine in conjunction with the websites that provide the information in this video. Links to the sites will be available in the description below. While the information in this video has been verified to the best of my ability, I cannot guarantee there are no mistakes or errors. I am not endorsing or condoning the use of any legal substance. I am not a healthcare professional, and the information I provide here should not be used as medical advice of any sort. Talk to your healthcare professional if you think the information in this video may be right for you. Should anyone decide to act upon the information given here, it is done at their own risk. I am not responsible in any way for the choices and outcomes of those who see this content. Okay, now that we're finished with that. In this video, we're going to take a look at an alternative to the common pills given for such things as depression and anxiety. My name is John, and welcome to the series. Your mental health is important, as we all know, but sometimes things can affect it and you in quite staggering ways. School, work, home life, it all can take a toll on your mind if you aren't careful. The things we experience in life can also remain dormant, so to speak, in your mind and memory. Traumas, pains, and losses are just some examples of things that can be stored in the back of your being, waiting for the time when you either process them, or, in my case, let them grow and grow until... For me, it was 2012. I was walking to work, my wife and son were walking with me to get groceries from the nearby store, and my phone rang. My father had died of a heart attack. 5 weeks prior, my grandfather had died of one. Sometime after my father had passed, I lost my job and I had to scramble to find another. The one I found left me as the only staff member. Everyone else walked from the job on my second day. From there, I was in training to become the assistant manager, while also helping to rebuild the store from the ground up. The higher-ups are going to pay for all the training I needed, and it was amazing. Until it wasn't. Long story short, after everything that happened to my family and my job got piled on top of all the things from my past, I suddenly fell apart and had to quit due to bad anxiety, panic attacks, and other health concerns caused by stress. I was on many different pills over the years of my recovery, but the side effects were sometimes worse than the symptoms they were supposed to be helping with. I was in a fog the entire time, unable to think straight or focus in any way. It wasn't just those few events that caused it though, they just pushed things over the edge. Through therapy and counseling, I found it was a combination of everything from childhood until then, and the recent events were enough to cause a breakdown in my life. With the medicines not working, one day I decided to look up alternative ways to heal myself, and it was back in 2018 or so that I came across psychedelics. I used to think of them as hardcore drugs, super illegal things that messed with your mind and made you insane. Anyone who talked about them during presentations at school said they were bad for you, and you should never do them, and so that's what I thought about them too. When I began to research psychedelics, I found that there were so many more benefits to these things than I actually previously thought. I mean, how is that even possible? But as I kept digging, I could not help but see the power that these things had to completely change people's lives, especially after one dose, and I wanted in. The one that really got me excited was magic mushrooms, which refer to a specific set of mushrooms that contain two compounds known as psilocybin and psilocin. I'm always updating the information that I have about these mushrooms. Allow me to share some of the information I've gathered over the past few years. Psilocybin was first isolated in 1958 by Dr. Albert Hofmann, who also discovered lysergic acid diethylamide, or LSD. While many psilocybin mushrooms are in the genus Psilocybe, there are several other species of fungus that contain the chemical, including Gymnopolis, Inocybe, and Pluteus. There are more than 180 different species of psychedelic mushroom within the Psilocybe genus alone. These mushrooms have been used for thousands of years in spiritual and medicinal practices among indigenous people and have a long history of being associated with spiritual experiences and self-discovery. Despite all the negative connotations that were and are given to these things, they do seem to have some amazing benefits. I know, right? Who would have thought? With the huge campaign for keep kids safe and stay away from drugs, you figured they would be evil and toxic and deadly.
I have never done a large dose of psilocybin mushrooms. All information from here on was pulled from a collection of websites which are listed in the description. I have done microdosing, which I will be discussing later, and I will be offering my own experiences and information about that. I recommend doing your own research, and do not use this as any form of official 100% truth or medical advice.
Psilocybin and psilocin, the molecules in some mushrooms that are responsible for the high, are known as psychedelic tryptamines, and they have similar molecular structures to a chemical called serotonin, which has some important functions in our brains and digestive tracts, as well as influencing our moods, sleep, and stress coping mechanisms. Being similar in structure to serotonin, they activate the same receptors in the brain, primarily known as 5-HT2A receptors. These receptors mediate such things as mood, imagination, learning, and perception. Many of these special receptors are found in the cortex, the part of the brain that deals with rational thought and reasoning. Psilocin sits into these receptors and activates them, which produces the trip effects. This can affect changes in our imagination, mood, and perception. Recent research also shows that psilocin affects the default mode network in our brains. The default mode network is like the brain's information highway system. It compiles and consolidates information in specific locations along the pathways as we go about our lives. They also allow us to remember the past and plan for the future. And there are some theories about the default mode network housing our very personalities, our individual selves. What psilocin does is it temporarily disables one or more of the default mode network's hub locations. In doing so, it means the brain can't connect to parts of itself as it used to. It has to form new pathways. The new connections allow the brain to talk to parts of itself that it may not normally communicate with. While some studies have been done about the effects psilocin has on the brain, our work is not done and we continue to research it every day. There are a lot of benefits attached to these mushrooms. Some studies have shown that therapy with psilocybin is beneficial in relieving symptoms of treatment-resistant depression, OCD, and other mental health issues. It has also demonstrated great effectiveness at easing fear and anxiety in people with terminal cancer. Many of these studies have taken place at the Johns Hopkins Medical Center. They have found that talk therapy combined with psilocybin significantly improved symptoms of clinical depression, with some participants continuing to experience benefits after an entire year from only 2 doses. There has been an increasing amount of research into psilocybin mushrooms as medicine, but more is still to be done. There are also a lot of benefits described from people's individual experiences, and those benefits have quite the range. Many have claimed the mushrooms have helped them work through PTSD and other severe mental health struggles, as well as clearing up cluster headaches and other physical health struggles as well. There is also a spiritual connotation to the mushrooms as well. People often claim to have experienced beings from other dimensions, transformation of their minds and souls, and a connection with the divine. When using mushrooms in large doses, people report a number of physical effects in the beginning, such as drowsiness, increased heart rate and blood pressure, yawning, and in some cases, nausea. Some of the reports of effects during the onset of psychedelics include the feeling of anxiety, thoughts of, are they working yet? Is it going to happen? What's going to happen next? That sort of thing. It's best just to take them, sit back, and allow them to do what they're going to do. Once the nausea and discomfort is done, the effects will begin to be noticeable. Vibrant, often glowing colors, glittering surfaces, and textures becoming more intense are what some people report seeing as things intensify. It may be hard for you to stop smiling or giggling. And then, the trip happens. The trip is different for everyone. Sometimes people can feel as if they're in a whirlwind and they have to hold on and ride it out. Other times, there is more control and you can navigate into a new mindset. If you get into a trip where you have control, it's said that it's a good time to go within and explore yourself, to consider examining personal problems, relationships, goals, ideas, beliefs, and fears. Time flows differently when you're under the influence of mushrooms, and the distortions can manifest in some great ways, like staring at a flower for 20 minutes and marveling at the beauty of nature. But, depending on how things go, if you're having a bad experience, a few seconds can seem to last for a long time. If you get into a spot like that, it's best to take a deep breath and remember your reasons for taking the trip. Direct your attention somewhere else. Watch a funny video, put on some good music, go for a walk in the woods. Find a way to refocus your thoughts. It is recommended that for your first big dose, that you have what is known as a trip sitter. Think of a trip sitter as a parent who goes with their kid on a field trip. They let their kid go play and have fun, but if things get too intense, they step in and help where they can. A trip sitter is someone who is knowledgeable about the psychedelic you took and also knows you and how to help in tough situations. This all sounds well and good, but if I'm discussing these things, I'm going to have to touch on the negatives as well. It is not a good idea to use psychedelics if you're on certain medications. SSRIs like Prozac, Cipralex, and Zoloft have the possibility of leading to a condition known as serotonin syndrome, although some studies show the risks can be limited with proper guidance and supervision. SNRIs, like Effexor, Pristiq, and Cymbalta, show no serious adverse effects when combined with psilocybin. In fact, they appear to reduce the effects of the psychedelic, but as always, check with your doctor. There are other prescriptions that can cause issues with psilocybin, and so it is best to talk with your family doctor or to do your own research to find out more. There is a link in the description to a site I used for this video. Feel free to start there. Psychedelics can be an amazing tool to help with mental health issues. However, there are some times where you may experience a bad trip. Bad trips typically happen at high doses and can be pretty intense. Vivid, frightening hallucinations, paranoia, depersonalization, and other symptoms can show up, as well as physiological ones such as dizziness and heart palpitations. Some trips can even lead some to think that, well... However, if it's any consolation, many people say the bad trips are also the most beneficial ones, leading to more insights into your life and how to help you. There isn't a clear definition of what causes a bad trip, or how one starts, or who is susceptible. But there are things that can help keep everything nice and groovy. To be sure you are fully prepared for the trip, there are several things to consider. One important idea is that of set and setting. Timothy Leary, a pioneer in psychedelic research, first coined the term in his book, The Psychedelic Experience, a manual based on the Tibetan Book of the Dead, in which he defined set as the mental state or mindset a person brings to the experience, including their thoughts, mood, and expectations. Setting refers to the physical and social environment in which the experience takes place. These two things are super important in setting up for success during the experience. If a person is feeling positive and comfortable, they are more likely to have a pleasant and transformative trip. But if they feel anxious or scared, their experience may not be so fun. Likewise, if the place the trip is happening is a familiar one, some place like your home for example, you'll be more at ease and thus have a better time. But if you are, let's say, out at a party, your trip might be a struggle. So set and setting are pretty important to the outcome of a trip, and if you can nail these two things down, you're well on your way to success. Some other things that you can do to prepare are: consider the reason for your trip. It's best to have an idea about why you are tripping, whether it's for a good time or to uncover ways to help you heal. A clear reason for the trip is a great idea. Have any snacks or drinks prepared ahead of time. During the trip, getting up to make a sandwich may be a little bit difficult, so have food and drink close by, and make sure you have lots of water. Set up a playlist of music and videos. With a great selection of music and videos on hand, it'll be so easy to hit play and relax. So be sure to have a great mix of songs and videos ready to go. Have someone with you. It's always nice to have someone close by that you know and trust, who can be there through the rough patches and help if something happens, whether it be a trip sitter or a good friend or family member. Be sure you understand what will be happening. Know that the average trip can last anywhere from 6 to 12 hours, depending on your dosage. If you have someone with you, talk to them about what can be done in the event of a bad trip. If you can get this stuff down before you begin your journey, you'll be well on your way to having a relaxed and enjoyable time. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. It means an awful lot to me. If you have any questions about any of the information I've provided so far, please let me know down in the comments below, and I'll try to expand on it as much as I can. If you're like me, and anxiety has you too afraid to jump headlong into the psychedelic experience, you can still get some benefits from the mushroom without the need for trippy, far-out visuals. Microdosing. Microdosing is just as it sounds, taking a small amount of a psychedelic. In the case of psilocybin, it is usually a dose of between 0.2 and 0.4 grams. What this allows for is some of the benefits of the mushroom to come through, such as a boost in positivity and creativity, but without the trip symptoms of the larger dose. With magic mushrooms, it can sometimes be difficult to get an accurate measurement of the amount of psilocybin in each microdose, since the individual mushrooms can have varying amounts in them. But most of the time, the dried mushroom can be ground into a powder and put into pills to help balance some numbers. It is recommended to follow a schedule while microdosing. Some suggest doing a dose every other day, while some say 2 days off and 2 days on, and others say dose for 5 days and take 2 off. When I did my dosing, I followed a schedule presented by James Fadiman, a man made famous for his research into psychedelics and microdosing. Dose for 1 day and off for 2. He found that this allows for the experience to be consistent and predictable while minimizing negative effects. Speaking from experience, I had only ever used cannabis, and so moving into the psychedelics was a big jump for me. But I do have to say my microdosing experience was one of the most beneficial, life-changing experiences I've ever had. And I'd love to go into detail about it. I don't remember everything, it was a few years ago, but if you'd like to hear more and I can explain a bit more, let me know down in the comments and I'll make a video about it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope I was able to educate you and show you some of the benefits that these mushrooms can actually have on people's lives. Again, I cannot stress enough to do your own research, talk to your doctors, and find out for yourself if this is right for you. Be sure to watch the other videos in this series as I begin to document a new microdosing experience I'll be starting soon. I'm creating these videos to have a bit of a first-hand experience for those who are interested and to gain a before, a during, and an after of how it affects my life. This whole series is to offer information to people who are sick of the pills and are trying to find an alternative to get better. For me, it was a huge hands-down win, and it worked so well and changed me for the better, and I cannot wait to begin to learn a bit more from this stuff. If this video was beneficial for you and you enjoyed it, please feel free to click like. Helps to push the video out to other people as well so they can see it. And if it's something that you want to follow along with, feel free to hit subscribe and ring that bell so when the new stuff comes out, you're always updated with all the new videos. Many thanks and much love to you all, and we'll see you in the next one. Ciao for now.